My name's Andrew Gruhl. I'm the chef owner of Slapfish Restaurant. We got a couple locations, one in Laguna Beach and one in Huntington Beach. And we are all about lobster, trust me. We consider ourselves to be somewhat of a lobster speakeasy. But for today, what I want to do, in anticipation of knowing the Lobsterfest is coming, and everybody wants to know how to eat a lobster, I'm going to show you the way I eat a lobster, and then from that you can kind of work on your own strategy and techniques. I like to always keep scissors around, but if you don't have scissors, don't fret, because you don't need them. You just make sure you have a bigger bib. So, step one with my lobsters, okay, is I break it down into 4 pieces. So the first thing I do is I tear the tail off. And this is where you're going to get a lot of the juice that drips out right there, okay? And that's how you know it's a nice fresh lobster, is you're going to get that juice in there. I call it the lobster stock, if you will. The second step is I'm going to break the arms off, okay? Now for the tail, okay? No scissors necessary here. Think about this as just a huge shrimp tail, okay? What I like to do when I get messy is I just put my hands together and you break the tail by pressing on either side. And this is where you want to get dirty, you want to get tactical. This is the fun part, okay? So I'm going to take my thumbs and I'm going to break the tail apart on both sides, literally like you're peeling back shrimp. Think of it as peeling each shrimp. And as I do that, I'm just going to dig into the lobster here, and I'm going to pull the tail back, and then towards the end you're going to squeeze, which is going to just completely remove the tail from the actual shell. So now for your tail right here, you've got a couple different ways you can go about this. I'm pretty unique when I eat my lobster. What I actually like to do is I like to pull the back of the tail open right here, okay? So you almost have this, this is like almost the flap of the tail, and I love this. I like to eat this as is. So now let's move on to the arms, okay? Well, professional chefs, what they do is before they break into the lobster claw, the first thing they do is they actually break the pincher off gently to try and keep this part of the meat intact, okay? Now, this small pincher meat right in here that breaks into the top of the claw, some people think is the most sweet and succulent part of the lobster, myself included, because it's one of the last pieces to grow into the shell. So when I do want to break into the rest of the lobster, I have 2 options on the claw. I can try and keep the whole thing intact, or I can break off right here at this joint what's called the knuckles, okay? If you have scissors, you'll want to break into it right here by cutting through the knuckle meat with the scissors, and just be careful because this is where people lose fingers, but it's worth it. Break into it, and then you can just honestly open it right here and pull the knuckle meat out as you open up the lobster shell right here, and you're left with these beautiful, beautiful, sweet pieces of knuckle that, in my opinion, one of the best pieces of lobster right there, okay? Now the second option for you, grab a towel or a napkin and put it down on a tray and literally just break it by honestly just beating that shell up. But what's going to happen there is you're going to be left with some small shell pieces that you need to pull out. So now what are we left with? We've got this huge claw where we've only broken off a small piece. So we're back to either A, the scissors, or B, the hammer, okay? And if you're strong enough and the shell's not too difficult to break into, because there's some shells that are softer and some that are harder, you can actually just go ahead and break it right in half and pull it out. In this case, it's a little bit of a harder shell, so I'm just going to break it with my might and then just pull some of these pieces off. And you can pull the claw and the pincher right out of the shell here, if you can. In this case, it's a little difficult, but there we go. So we have the full lobster claw right there. That's a beautiful claw, and then you can just dig right in. Now most people would give up at this point. What people don't realize is how much fun there is in this body part right here. Because what you've got here is you've got your leg pinchers, okay? Now inside here you've got juices and meat, and this is some of the sweetest meat in the lobster. You can do one of 2 things. You can actually break this on your own tray, and you can roll by pressing down just like on a tube of toothpaste, and you can actually see some of the meat come right out the top, and it's little bits and pieces of meat, but it's delicious nonetheless. Or you can just put this right to your mouth, you can squeeze it, and you can just suck that meat right out. Now what we've got here is we've got the body. So you can do 2 things here. You can play with this, and it can be really fun, or you can just pull the meat off, okay? And inside you've got You still have some meat in here, and you've actually got pieces of the lungs, if you will, and this is great to eat. This green stuff here is considered the tamale, and it's actually the liver of the lobster, which is incredibly delicious. So you can just go ahead and just eat right off of this whole body piece right here. We've broken down the majority of the lobster. There's obviously a million different ways to get to the heart of a lobster, but there's a couple right there, and those are my favorite ways to get in there. Great, well, look, we'll see you at Lobsterfest. This is just a little sneak preview of what you've got in store for you.